The presenting sponsor of Real VC is iGuide. Fast and accurate 3D tours. Find out more information at upmarket.media/iGuide. Coming to you from the Upmarket studio, beautiful San Buenaventura, California. This is Real VC, a podcast all about Ventura County real estate. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media, and Katie Connolly. She's a realtor with Coldwell Banker.
Hello.
Katie. Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see
you. We
you
had a
as
couple
well.
weeks off.
I
But
know.
now we're back.
Yep.
I'm excited. Molly Beard's here producing off camera. Hello, Molly. Thank you for being here, and thank you for setting up. Tessa, our editor, also here, but we don't give her a mic. We should, though. Tessa, maybe we'll give you a mic sometime.
She's a woman of few words.
Yeah. But really, though, I'm excited because we have Tony McHale here, who is a fire captain with Ventura County Fire Department in Oakview, Station 23.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is.
Welcome, Tony.
Yes.
So Tony, there's something that I've heard now about California in general about fire is that we don't have fire season anymore. That it's just year round.
Yeah, that's correct. First of all, thank you for having me.
Oh,
It's my pleasure to be here and answer your questions and everything else. Yes, there's a confluence of a lot of things happening at once. I've been on for 30 years, and I've seen enormous changes with regard to the fire environment and the climate.
Okay.
And I would say the last 10 years of my career have been pretty extreme. And of course, you don't have to look very far in the headlines to see or experience significant fire behavior. Used to be fire seasons went from roughly, usually May or June until about November. Now we get fires. For instance, the Palisades fire happened in January.
Yeah.
We get fires all year round, and some of them are quite catastrophic based on the conditions.
Yeah.
And the climate change. I know it's a big topic. I know it's controversial in some cases, but nonetheless, it is observable fact. It is happening.
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever the cause is.
People can argue about it all they want, but it doesn't
happening.
change the fact that it's actually happened and is a fact.
So I think anybody, any rational person can go out there and realize that the summers are getting hotter and longer.
Yeah.
Weather's becoming more extreme. We have more extended droughts, which of course translates here in California to particularly volatile and dangerous fire conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, all of us know, right? I mean, I think everyone in Ventura County has, if you've been here a while, has been affected. We just had the Sandy fire.
Well, and even, to kick it off, the Thomas fire was in
absolutely.
December.
That's
and all
correct.
of us were like, what? This is crazy. And it was hugely devastating. And it was, around the holidays and the colder kind of temperature. And
It was brutal.
and then it just never felt like it never stopped since then.
And from a professional fire standpoint, of course, this is what we do. This is our calling. And, we, of course, take in all kinds of data and lessons learned. I can say that because of the changes that we're confronting, and of course, there's been a lot of development. More people are living in what we call the interface zone between wildland areas and urban development. And then there's also interzone, which Ventura County has a lot of. That means like ranches, farms, residences that are spread out in rural areas. Those are interzone areas. And of course, those present challenges for firefighters. But really, all of the assumptions that we used to operate on, like a set fire season, certain types of fire behavior, are being challenged. So we have to be nimble and we have to adapt to that. So we're constantly training, adapting, and upgrading our tactics and strategies.
What do we as residents, homeowners, renters, whatever, what do we have to do to adapt? I mean, are there, because it feels like now there's stricter rules on, fire mitigation stuff if you're a property owner. And obviously, there's the insurance element too, right? I think insurers are pushing back on homeowners.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. But because of the fire stuff. I mean, I've heard that, my insurance is making me trim this tree and I don't, or take out this tree and I don't want to take it out. But, what's going on that side of it that's not the fire department?
Yeah, so the fire service in general takes a very proactive approach to all of this to try to have plans in place. One of the things that we have in the state of California I'm very proud of from a response level is we have what's called the California Master Mutual Aid System. So whenever there's large incidents, we can call upon this system to bring resources for large fires. Any incident that grows beyond the capability of the local fire service. We can call upon the mutual aid system, so our partners come in and help us out. That helps. But from a department standpoint, from Ventura County and most departments in the state, we have all kinds of programs in place. And one of the things we have in Ventura County, which a lot of your listeners and viewers probably have experienced, is called the Fire Hazard Reduction Program. This is an annual inspection program we do where we have, we want to create defensible spaces around homes that are in high-risk areas. So we identify those areas, and then the local engine companies go out and do inspections. And there's lots of criteria, and I can give you some information. They can go to the Ventura County Fire Department website and look at the FHRP program with all the specific, the things that are required. So we do that. We're very proactive in that respect. And then, of course, obviously preparation for our citizens to prepare for natural disasters. So we have in Ventura County something called Ready, Set, Go. And that's it's fire.ventura.gov, venturafire.gov. Anyway, there's a whole list of things that you can do. So Ready, Set, Go is a tool that's available to all of our residents to prepare for a wildland fire.
I just sent out that mailer to my sphere.
Yes.
Yeah, it's ready, set, go in big letters on one sheet. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have ready.venturacounty.gov, which has a really good guide in there, a plan guide to assist families and residents to prepare for disasters. But the Fire Hazard Reduction Program, Ready, Set, Go, all of these things, their primary objective is preparedness. And, so we have all kinds of advice in there as far as hardening your home, especially in these high-risk areas. And hardening your home means, removing volatile brush, combustible materials close to your house, boxing in your eaves, putting screens into your vents. There's any number of measures that you can take to harden your home. So we really emphasize that as well. Again, a very proactive approach. So there's lots of tools available. It's just that people need to take the time to use those resources online, come up with a plan, and put it in place.
And do you think, even with all of this mitigation and all of this hardening, I mean, is this a matter of not if, but when? I mean, for any given area that at some point you are going to see a fire.
Yeah. And, in these cases, there's no guarantees in the world. All right. So what we do, we offer these tools and this advice to our citizens, the people that we're sworn to protect. And we take that duty very seriously. The Ventura County Fire Department is an all-risk fire department. We're well known for our wildland capabilities. So we really take this to heart. And what we want to do is give our residents, the people we serve, the best chance that they can to protect their property and their families. Our first operational priority on any incident is life safety. That is the absolute first priority that we do. So with these tools in place, we're trying to give people the best chance that they can. So if they can help themselves, we can also better help them. It gives us a better chance. For instance, if they have defensible space around their house, they've hardened their homes, it gives us a better chance to stand and defend. But again, all of our tactics, everything that we do is based on conditions. It's conditions. And so you brought up the Sandy fire, which happened recently. We were very lucky in that case. That fire took off pretty fast. It was in May, which is pretty early in the season. And we had a lot of pretty decent rain this year. If there had been more wind on that, it would have been even more challenging than it already was, because it was in a part of the Simi Valley, the southern part of the valley, which has a lot of intermix and interface. So there were a lot of homes that were under threat. The Ventura County Fire Department and our partners, very aggressive, utilizing aircraft, engine companies, hand crews, bulldozers, all the ground pounders, very aggressive attack on that. And the outcome was good. But again, it's one of those surprises, and there's no guarantee. So everything that we do is based on conditions.
Right.
And so the Sandy fire was good, but you go back to the mountain fire, all right, which happened in the Camarillo Heights area. And then you look at what happened in Palisades and the Eaton fire, and then all the other fires that we've had, back up in Santa Rosa, the Central LNU fire up in Northern California. We are seeing these, I don't want to call them a fire, they're conflagrations. These are extreme fire behavior situations.
Yeah.
And, any agency, and I've been doing this for 30 years, we're dedicated. We're going to respond. We're going to get there. But, the initial attack on a big fire like that, it grows exponentially. There is nothing more horrifying than a wind-driven wildland fire. I understand tornadoes, hurricanes, those are horrifying too. But here in California, a wind-driven wildland fire is devastating. And it is so hard to get at it, get ahead of it. And agencies here, depending on where the fire is and what type of terrain we're dealing with, what kind of fuel beds we're dealing with, the challenges are just could be overwhelming for any agency. But the thing is that we train constantly. We do not stop. Yeah. Yes, we get kicked in the face. We get thrown against the ropes, and it's quite overwhelming. But we get that California mutual aid system going. We bring in our partners. We keep at it, and sadly, there's devastation. There is destruction. For me, 30 years in the job, I never, and I can speak for all of my brothers and sisters in the fire, we never get used to that or desensitized to that. But what makes us keep going is that even when we get kicked and thrown against the rope and in the face of all that destruction and the homes that are destroyed and the effects on the residents, we never stop. And we stay with it. We withdraw, we retreat. We try to go to places where we can make a stand or make the best of what we have on hand.
Sure.
And then when conditions change, we switch over. We're thrown on the defensive, and our priorities are life safety and structured defense.
Right.
And then we'll go on a more offensive mode. We never stop. So what we have to do in the face, like you remember the Thomas fire, and I remember sitting up on Foothill, looking across the city and seeing the whole Oxnard Plain, and it's like, wow, the losses were so devastating, seeing these homes destroyed. But then I looked and I realized, look what we saved.
Yeah. Well, I remember.
Meaning,
that.
if we weren't there, I'm just saying that. So we have to weigh those devastating losses with what is safe. So that's what keeps us going.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like you guys saved Ojai. It was like, I remember the night, and I think the winds died a little that night, but when it was surrounded, I think it was the second night, right? Yeah. And it was just like, I was sitting in LA at my brother's house just being like,
you're exactly right.
It's over. I was like, literally, where are we going to move?
You're exactly right. Yeah. And I work in Ojai, and I was there that night when we called it the donut hole.
Yeah.
And Ojai was lucky in one respect, is that the fire became a threat as the incident was developing. So we had an enormous amount of equipment.
Right.
And we packed the Ojai Valley with all you name it, we had it in there.
I wasn't there, but I can just imagine Shelf Road, a bunch of trucks.
So we, deployed, and I was on the Hermitage Road area with my strike team. And, we just did what we know how to do and took advantage of the terrain and the conditions that we had on hand. So that was a really good outcome. And we did Ojai. We were really lucky. So again, you have to weigh that, the potential. Yeah. And same with, Palisades, I was there too. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah. I mean, Palisades was like Armageddon. I mean, it was like trying to put I hate to be dramatic, but it's the truth. All these fires, it's like trying to put out a blowtorch with a squirt gun.
Right.
All right. So
that's a good analogy.
Any kind of, water system, these water systems are not designed to sustain that kind of use.
Right.
And, and then of course you can't have a fire truck in front of every house, and the conditions are changing so rapidly. You have to adapt. We have a saying in the fire service, adapt and overcome. And, and as we're getting kicked in the teeth, we have to figure out, okay, where can we go? Where do we have the best chance? Where can we make a stand? What can we save? What do we have to, unfortunately, sometimes we have to make those decisions to tactically back off because life safety. Yeah. As a fire captain, I'm responsible for my crew, and our leadership is responsible for us. And what good are we if we're going in there willy-nilly and getting firefighters hurt and possibly killed when we could regroup, try to find another place to make a stand? And these are decisions that we have to make that are devastating. They are emotionally shattering, but we do them nonetheless. We don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then I guess what gets me about all that is it just seems like, especially with Palisades Fire, it's just like there's nothing you could do. I mean, there's nothing you could do to stop it, right? It's all this stuff of like, hey, what can we defend? What can we do this? But there's going to be loss when there's an Armageddon type situation with this. And then you have like, I don't know, a bunch of clowns after the fact berating politicians, berating the system of being like, well, they didn't, if they had just opened up the reservoir or turned on the taps, it's like, how do we deal with like literal clowns saying this and saying this kind of stuff who they just don't know what they're talking about?
Well, human nature is to try to find a cause.
Yeah.
And it's easy when you're upset and as devastating as it is, you want to find these quick fixes. And I understand that that's human nature.
Yeah.
There's that new terminology has come into our vocabulary. And you guys may agree with this. You hear like when you hear a weather report, you're hearing words like heat dome. Like I never grew up with a word like heat dome.
Yeah.
All right. Or they call it the atmospheric river.
Yeah. That's
for
what I was
rainfall.
Yeah.
And then they have something that they call particularly dangerous situations, PDS. And those are very, very
I've been in a
high
couple of those in my day.
pressure gradients that create enormous winds. And the Mountain Fire and the Palisades Fire and the Eaton Fire, I have never in my career seen winds like that.
Right.
We are talking almost hurricane force winds sustained. During the Thomas Fire, when I was up on Foothill, we had probably 50 to 60 mile an hour sustained wind with gusts up to 65, 70, and I've never seen wind like that.
Yeah.
And when you get out of your rig and you're trying to get your guys lined out and you're trying to do, your embers are blowing, you have goggles on, but the smoke is overwhelming. And we can't wear SCBAs. SCBAs, the breathing apparatus, they only last 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So we can't, so we're in the smoke. And so you try to wear a cartridge mask or whatever you have. And so it's disorienting. The wind is blowing. You're trying to figure, your hose lines are bent. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, you're just trying to figure this out, And then there's water supply issues. Whenever a fire like that, it puts enormous pressure on whatever infrastructure is in place. So some water systems rely on pump houses and things like that. So if the power goes off, it can affect those pump houses. So infrastructure could be compromised and damaged. Some cases in more of the rural areas, there's not reliable water supplies. A lot of places have wells.
Right.
They have water tanks, things like that. So we have to be very creative and we have to improvise and be resourceful with our water supplies. And so it's a constant exercise in adapting to the conditions as we're presented with. But, you go to a place like Palisades, and also with, the Mountain Fire was the same way. You have, hundreds of homes, if not thousands of homes on fire.
Yeah.
So you're basically in a gigantic conflagration. You're in a huge structure fire. It goes beyond just wildland. Right. And it's going from house to house to house. The houses themselves become fuel. And under wind-driven conditions, it is a Herculean task to take that on. And the water systems, people forget. When a house burns, in some cases, and we'll get into this about evacuations, homeowners, it's your house, it's your home, everything, it's everything. A lot of people, when they leave their homes, they're expecting to come back to it, and they come back and it's gone. It's horrifying to see and experience. And so, of course, their impulse is to protect it, to save it. And they get evacuation orders and they don't leave, and they try to water their roof down. So people are out there with their garden hoses, and everyone's drawing on that water system, as we are, from a hydrant, all right? And then when houses do, in fact, get destroyed, they collapse and they break the water lines, and you have open butt water leaks. So you look at a place like Palisades, where you have that many homes that were impacted, all of them leaking water. And then you have the enormous draw on the water system from the fire resources that are on scene. So there's not a water system in the world that can sustain that kind of utilization. Right. So that's a big challenge as well. There was some talk about, and I'll leave that to Los Angeles City. That's their situation. But there's talk about the reservoir and different things like that. But really, the initial incident when that fire got rolling, it was so enormous and dynamic that it was going to be devastating no matter what. Right. And the key was to try to stop it when conditions allowed us to go offensive on it. And so again, what I mentioned earlier in this discussion was, you have to take stock in that. You have to take confidence in that. Like, okay, those losses, but then
Look what we saved.
Look what we got a job to do still.
Yeah.
You know, and when those conditions, firefighters are opportunists. That's how I like to describe us. You know, we have two modes, offensive, defensive. And usually in a big fire like that, you're throwing on defensive mode. Life safety is the priority, then structure protection, and then, you know, putting the fire out. And during the mountain fire, we were throwing on the ropes so hard, but the priority was life safety. We made over 36 rescues in people's houses because the incident commanders identified from 911 calls people that could not get out of their houses because the fire was moving so quickly. That resources went in there, including our partners in the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. And police officers, they go in without any fire gear.
Right.
And they go in and they find out an address and they're going to do their level best to save lives. So we made very key rescues because that was the priority at that time. Then structured defense.
Right.
And then as conditions allow, we start to transition into a more offensive mode. So that's,
We're so thankful for the support of iGuide of this show. And iGuide, it's one of these things that we use in our business every day as we're doing real estate media. You know, iGuide provides amazing 3D tours, which I think are really getting to be more and more a crucial part of advertising homes for sale. Gives buyers a great way to explore the house without having to be there for a physical showing. Gives accurate measurements, and it all happens quickly and in this great interface that all of our consumers and clients love. So if you want more information, you can check it out at upmarket.media/iGuide. Yeah, I remember, you know, my own experience in Thomas Fire. I just remember being struck by how quickly your priorities change, because it was like we evacuated the next morning. I kind of saw it coming. I saw the glow and, oh, it's windy. Then I'm like, 6 a.m. I was like, okay, we got to get out of here. And I had a, 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old at the time. And yeah, I'm not a homeowner, but of course we have all our stuff. And I'm like, okay, I put this in the car. Okay, I got the family photos. I got my kid. I got my wife. I got my hard drives. Oh, we have 2 cars. Okay, should we take 2 cars? I'm like, oh no, we have insurance for that. That's fine. If it burns up, who cares? And it was like I didn't care about my car. I didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
Because I had the important things.
Yeah, and that's what we say with that preparedness.
Yeah.
Have a plan.
Yeah.
And we refer to them as go kits. If you live in a fire-prone area, it's a good idea to have a go kit. And that includes things like medications, important documents, hard drives. The other thing that's interesting, during the Thomas Fire, I was living in Ojai at the time, and my family had to evacuate.
Yeah.
And I'm on the job.
Yeah.
And I remember my significant other at the time, she was telling me, it's weird, you never really think about it, and then the things you start throwing into your car
right.
when you don't have a plan,
Right.
and it's so that's why we always tell people to have a good plan in place. Pets, rural areas where you have horses and other livestock.
Yeah.
It could be cattle, it could be goats. I've seen llamas, chickens, you name it. I've seen it all, and that creates another challenge as well. There are tools like what we call VC Alert that residents in Ventura County can sign up. They can enroll. This VCAlert.com. Just go online and enroll yourself, because they'll send alerts to your phone. And, as the incident is developing, they try to get those alerts out as soon as possible. Yeah. Evacuation zones. Systems can be imperfect, though. So I like to tell people, if you know there's a wildland fire in your area, you need to be vigilant, eyes on. Watch TV, listen to the radio, whatever you do, look at your phone. Yeah. And as they update that information, sometimes there's a little lag. So you have to use common sense. And you have to realize at heart, nothing is more valuable than your life. Nothing. Nothing's worth the burn unit. Nothing's worth dying over. I understand it's a home. It's devastating, animals. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to your life and your family. So we tell people to keep that in mind. And with those evacuation notices that come in, we want people to heed them, because if you wait too long, everything's good until it's not.
Yeah.
And then when it's not, it's too late. Palisades had so many things happening at once. And you may recall some of the horrible scenes of cars stacking up on some of the roadways trying to get out. That's a big problem. And they even used a bulldozer to move the cars. Because, see, we're trying to get in, people are trying to get out. And, because of that operational priority, which is life safety, when we go in, I remember having this happen in Ventura. When we go in, we're focused on life safety, yes, but we also have structured defense. But if I know that there are residents in the area that have not left, my anxiety level goes up considerably because I have to switch over to life safety mode. And that becomes a distraction and a problem from other operations that we all could be doing.
Right.
And then people panic and they come flying out and they get traffic jams. So hopefully, as an incident starts to develop, they can get word out and evacuation notices, things of that nature. And you'll see that all on VC Alert. There's VCEmergency.com, which has evacuation notices. Listening to the
I have the
radio.
I have the Watch Duty app.
Watch Duty is great.
Yeah.
Watch Duty is great. There's all those great apps. Watch Duty is awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, any resource. If you're forward thinking, again, that's part of having a plan.
Yep.
You got to think about this ahead of time.
Right.
And I mean, us as Californians, we know, like, we can walk outside and know the smell difference between like a barbecue and like a fire.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's not good. And, we come in the house, make sure we know the power is probably going to get kicked off, make sure our flashlights are charged, our phones are charged, and then just kind of watch and listen because we've just experienced it so many times.
Fall. A lot of people have this, they kind of equate fall with cozy and pumpkin spice latte and, trees
like a pumpkin
changing
spice
color.
guy
And,
to me.
But California, here, Southern California especially, fall is not that way.
Yeah.
Fall, it's you can feel it. When there's an east wind coming, it's offshore flow, it's very dry, the relative humidity drops.
Yep.
And to me, it just feels like menace. I mean, I just feel like, oh gosh, okay, what's going to happen next year?
Yeah.
And of course, the fire department, all agencies in the state, they project out and look at forecasts and they try to anticipate these events. And when we have what they call red flag days, so this is typical things like high temperatures, all right, winds, all right, and low relative humidity. And you can feel it in the air when it's dry.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So when that happens,
I know
usually,
fire weather. Oh yeah.
yeah.
I know.
So usually with an offshore flow, and most Californians kind of have become accustomed to this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You go to places, Santa Barbara, for instance, is one of the most dangerous places in the world as far as wildland fire and floods. It's a beautiful place. It's idyllic. It's like paradise, but under the right conditions, it's a nightmare. Malibu is another example. You look at Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, Ojai. Ventura County has a number of challenging areas that are at high risk. And of course, the insurance companies know that. And in the face of these kinds of losses, of course, people are starting to experience a lot of problems with getting coverage. In some cases, their coverage has been withdrawn or it's astronomically expensive. And then they have to maybe find an alternative. It could be like the California Fair Plan, which is getting pretty...
We call it the unfair plan.
Yeah, it's very expensive and, it hasn't been put to the test quite yet, So the state and other agencies, Cal Fire, they have what they call the fire hazard severity zone maps that they publish. You can see those on the Cal Fire website, and also Ventura County Fire Department has the same thing. They have PDFs and other things that you can download and look at them. And insurance companies look at those as well. So, of course, their risk managers are constantly assessing from a business standpoint, whether they can meet these claims. Imagine the claims that came in from a Palisades fire.
Yeah. And we do. I mean, from a business standpoint as well. In real estate, we add a defensible space to our purchase agreements, so buyers are encouraged and sometimes mandated to make sure their home is defensible. We get our natural hazard zone disclosure reports when properties transfer, so people know. Because there's times where you're showing a beautiful house and you look and there's a lot next door, and it's just this feeling of like, do I want to buy this house? Do I want to live here? And we're like, we have reports, things happen, and it's ultimately their decision. But
you're right. And, it's interesting. And over the course of my career, we get calls from local realtors, and they have criteria they have to meet. They want to know, like, what's the nearest hydrant? How far is it from the house? Where's the nearest fire station? We hear a lot of that. And I know some people have like impound accounts with their mortgages and insurance, and the insurance piece is definitely going to be challenging. It's going to continue to be challenging. And to be fair, I mean, you look what's going on in places that have high hurricane risk. Florida, it's difficult for people to get insurance there as well. So whatever the natural disaster that each region of the country is having to contend with, of course, insurance companies are watching very carefully because of the liabilities, and their risk managers are very active in that. So they look at the fire severity zone maps and the fire hazard severity zones. I do know a number of people, including men and women I work with, who living in places like Thousand Oaks and Simi, who have lost their coverage, and they've had to try to find an alternative. And so that is, it definitely can have an effect on the real estate market.
No, what's interesting about climate and change and all that kind of stuff is I remember in the 90s during fire season is we knew that there would be a fire and then it would be gone and then we'd have mudslides. We saw it in La Conchita, we saw it in Malibu, we saw it in Camarillo Springs. And I feel like as an adult, we haven't we've had devastating fires, obviously, but then it hasn't been this calm before the second storm of freeways getting closed down.
Well, there's been no rain.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a few rainy years, but I mean, there were so many drought years where it's like it's not going to slide if it ain't wet.
Yeah, we've had more sustained droughts than I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
We had that real bad one. I mean, remember when Casitas was down to 38%?
I thought it was never going to fill. And then it took a year.
Yeah, and it was just crazy. So then, we always say, well, we're going to get a heavy rain year, and they're projecting out El Nino.
Yeah, this
I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't know. I just kind of go with what I see.
Well, but what's your gut on fire season this year? I mean, and again, we're saying it's all year round, but I mean, do you think it's going to be bad this year?
Well,
it's already been bad.
We've had a number of starts, significant starts. Sandy was definitely, for us, for Ventura County, was an indication of what might lie ahead. So much of it really is based on the type of weather patterns that we get. We've been getting a little bit more of with the famous May gray June gloom, but it's been burning off earlier. Yeah, it doesn't seem to last as long as it used to.
I feel like we had a hot week last week.
Yeah, this was a sunny June. I don't want to jinx it.
The brush is cured and dried. There's a lot of fuel on the ground. We're right in the middle of our FHRP inspections. All the stations in Ventura County are, and
you're not making me confident here.
Well, no, we're guarded, because we don't have a crystal ball. We're not very good prognosticators.
Right.
What we can do is be prepared. And so they project the weather out a week or more in advance. And then the fire department, Ventura County Fire Department, they make decisions based on whether or not we need to do maybe extra staffing, additional manpower, equipment. So they make those adjustments. In some cases, they even staff up an entire strike team that they have mobile ready to go in Ventura County. During the Thomas fire, we had 2 in place from Ventura County, plus Cal Fire.
You guys had people up where it started that night, right? Already before it started, didn't
you? They were in the area, but not. Yeah, that one. I was in with my strike team. We were in Simi Valley, because when you have a regional wide wind event like that, you never really know.
Right, you don't know where you don't know where the power line's going to go down.
And I remember the mountain fire, which
Later
was eclipsed in severity by Thomas and Eaton, or not Thomas. I'm sorry, Palisades and Eaton. I remember I was on a detail at the time. I was a public information officer, and I was being interviewed by one of the local or the LA media channels there. Trying to look at what they're looking at and watching this thing take off. And the big indication is if you look at any footage, the smoke is horizontal to the ground. So what does that tell you? It tells you that wind-driven fire, extreme. So I'm watching all this stuff happening. So one of the anchors asked me, live TV, well, evacuations. I said, and look, I was just trying to keep up with it. Anything downwind, they're going to start sending out alerts, and they were sending out alerts. So I said, anything downwind of this incident, which was in the Grimes Canyon area, making its way west, I said, anybody downwind should be thinking about evacuating and being prepared and getting their plans in place. And in some cases, use your sense. Don't wait for the official word. Right. If it doesn't look good to you, man, you start heading out. Yeah. And then they asked me, well, what about the Camarillo Heights area? And I thought for a second. So that's pretty far away. That's like it's across the Heritage Valley there. Yeah. It seems like a long way to go. And luckily I said, they should be thinking about it too. I said, anybody downwind. Right. And thank God I said that because, it was so dynamic.
Right? So quick.
It changed within minutes. And that fire hopscotched across the Heritage Valley area and then got set up on the slopes of the backside of Camarillo Heights and just made a run. And wind driven, the blowtorch. And, so resources are getting up there. We're trying to line out. We're trying to get where we can, trying to get people evacuated. And, cell phones don't work so well up there,
right?
Even under ideal conditions.
I know.
So sometimes people don't get alerts, and that's where the common sense factor. That's having a plan, being alert, being fire savvy.
Yeah.
Know your environment, situational awareness. Know where you live. Yeah. If you know you live in a high risk area, you should always be vigilant. Pay attention to the weather and be prepared. That's the best. That's the best thing you can do.
Sometimes I touted the Watch Duty app, but if you have the notifications on, it's like you get a lot of damn notifications. Yeah. And when there's a fire like out in like Simi Valley or something, I'm like, I think I'm going to turn these off, for that incident. But then there's a part of me that is like, well, what if it gets a little bigger? And what if it, because I don't need to know about the specific neighborhoods in Simi that are getting evacuated. But at the same time, you're like, well, as the crow flies, it's actually not that far from Ojai.
Yeah. So, alerting systems, the intent is very good.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they do work very well, but they definitely have their limitations under certain conditions.
Sure.
Especially if we're a very rapidly developing situation. I marvel at local law enforcement, the sheriff's department and other law enforcement agencies, how they handle evacuations. The alerting system, they're still always working on it, trying to figure out how to make it more effective. One of the risks that they can run is, they get the word out and then people panic and they all go at once and then the roads get clogged up.
Right.
There's that possibility. But it's better to get word out than no word at all.
Right.
And, do you remember a fire that happened up in Paradise, California? It was called the Camp Fire.
I absolutely do. That's right from where I'm from.
So that was just a few hours. Yeah. And by the way, it looked like it was at night, but that was a day fire. That was a day. That's how heavy the fuels were.
It did look like the night.
But they had one way in and out.
Yep.
And so, of course, everybody just piled onto that road. And, in some cases during really extreme events like that, incidents like that, for people that hesitate or wait too long or there's congestion, you can get overrun on a road. That can happen, So prudence, you have to think ahead.
Yeah.
Watch the situation developing, have your go kit.
Yep.
And it's probably better just to get out because we would prefer that because nothing is more important than your life. Yeah. And it comes down to that for me every time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell people when we're on fires, I'll see people, and some people, they save their house. They're throwing pool water or whatever they can do, and they got lucky. Those conditions allowed them to do that. Right. So, okay, I can understand that, but I've seen also bad outcomes as well, and the anxiety it causes me knowing. And I've actually told people, look, we're leaving. We have to withdraw. We're going to go to this next street where we have a better chance of making a stand. So if I leave, it's probably a good idea that you do, and those are hard discussions to have with people. And some people are adamant, and I'm not in the business to make people do anything. Yeah. I give them my best recommendation, but generally people are pretty good with complying with evacuation orders. And so if you're familiar wherever you live in Ventura County, become very acquainted with things like VC Alert and the ready.ventura.gov. That's a great website. There's so many tools in there. Yeah. They have checklists. They have recommended items to bring when you evacuate, how to harden your house. And the Ventura County Fire Department has a ton of stuff on there that we really push.
Tony, thank you. That was it. It's felt like it's been 5 minutes.
I know.
But it hasn't. So we got to go.
Yes.
That was so fantastic. So I really appreciate it. And I know I speak for all of us. We appreciate all the work you and your brothers and sisters do. It's really extraordinary. And to hear you talk about it like that, it's really inspiring. And it really, as much as I'm scared shitless of these things, I'm also, I feel like we're in good hands. But, but at the same time, like you said, these apocalyptic events, I mean, you can't fight it in a certain way.
And I'd like to be more optimistic. It's going to continue. Yeah. There's really no sign that it's going to change. That also includes a possible wet winter. Yeah. Flooding, mudslides, all that other stuff. So that can happen as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Katie, for being here. Thanks, Tony. Thank you,
you.
of course, everyone who is watching and listening. What is our social media?
You can find me at katie.conley.realtor on Instagram and just search my name on any other platform and I'll pop up.
And we're upmarket.media. You have social? Tony?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I have my own personal accounts.
Okay,
but
you don't want
yeah.
to
follow
that out.
Ventura County Fire.
Is there like an Instagram that we should follow for?
Well,
fire?
they do. They have the Ventura County Fire Department, both Facebook or Meta, I guess they call it now, and Instagram.
Yeah,
you'll see us there, and very robust and active. I have those as well, and in fact, I tend to attach those to my own personal ones to send out to people. The Ventura County Public Information Office is a great source of information for anything. In fact, I've worked with them many times over the years, and I'm part of the cadre of public information officers there. So I'm very proud of the men and women of the Ventura County Fire Department. We are here. We are dedicated to the citizens that we are sworn to protect.
All right.
With that,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Real VC is a production of Upmarket Media. This episode was produced by Molly Peart and edited by Tessa Nelson. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.